Hey guys, it's Tila with Every Tuesday, and today we're creating a falling snow effect, and we're doing it in a cute little snow globe that we will also draw. This is a beginner to intermediate style tutorial, so if you're brand new to Procreate, I'll leave a link in the video description to my free Procreate for Beginners course. I'll also leave a link to the free color palette as well as all the brushes we'll be using for this animation. You can really use any canvas size that you'd like for this. I'm on a 2500 pixel by 2500 pixel canvas at 300 DPI. I work in the Display P3 color profile, but if you're on an older iPad and don't have access to that, then the default sRGB color profile is perfectly fine. To get started, I will apply a light blue color to my background and then create a brand new layer and change your color to white. I'll be using a couple of free brushes from Procreate for this part for the snow globe. So I'm going to head into the calligraphy category and select the monoline brush. Next, I'm going to apply a vertical symmetry setting. So tap on your wrench, go to canvas, toggle on drawing guide, and then hit edit drawing guide. Down here, you'll want to tap on symmetry, and it should by default, when you hit options, be vertical, but I always like to double check that it is, and then hit done. For this globe, I'm going to start from the middle and then just create my globe shape outward and then hold it until it snaps, and then we get a nice arc. And then I'm going to hit edit arc, and then we can just adjust the points on this so it feels just the way we want it to feel for our globe. That feels good. So now I'm going to just select my brush again. We need to close our paths. So I'm just going to extend this line down and close it. And then I can fill it by just grabbing my white and dropping it inside. Let's turn off our guideline now. So I'm just going to toggle off drawing guide and just take a look at everything. This top part has a slight point, so I'm just going to switch to my eraser and erase that away. I think I want my snow globe to be just a little bit skinnier, so I'm going to select it, choose freeform, and then just push on the edge, and that will make it a little skinnier. That feels better. In order to center it on your canvas, just tap on snapping and make sure magnetics and snapping are turned on, and then you can just drag it over and you will be right in the center. Okay, this next part is kind of the more advanced part. We're going to apply layer masking to apply a translucent effect to our snow globe glass. We don't want it to be transparent where you see directly through it. This translucency will give us a nice like frosted effect within the center as it expands towards the edges. So in order to do this, we're just going to tap on the layer thumbnail and choose mask. Now, typically, if you've done layer masking before, you know that you have to select black in order to completely hide the area that you're painting. In order to create a translucent effect, you just change it to gray. So pretty easy. I'm going to go a little darker than a medium gray here and switch to my soft airbrush, which is found in the airbrushing category within Procreate. It's a default brush. I'm going to reduce my brush size quite a bit and just kind of check right here. That feels pretty good. And what you want to do is draw. I start from the center and work my way outward, but I don't want to touch the edges. I want to get close. So there's a nice like little gradient happening there, but I don't want to touch the edges. So the edges are still that brighter white color. So I'm just going to come around, and that feels good. I'm going to be putting a tree right in the middle, and I want you to be able to see the tree better than anything else, so it'll feel more gradual. So in order to do that, I'm going to add a little extra transparency just to the middle. So I'm going to change my color a little closer to black, but not completely black, and then just paint in just the center area with the same brush. It'll just make my tree stand out that much more as kind of the hero in this animation. All right, that's all set now. So now we can create the base of our snow globe. I'm going to create a brand new layer, change my color to yellow, and return back to the calligraphy category and select my monoline brush. I need to apply my vertical symmetry settings again, but instead of having to go all the way back to my wrench and drawing guide options, all I have to do is come to my layers, tap on the layer thumbnail and choose drawing assist, and that will apply whatever previous settings you were using. It may help if you have your center guideline for this, so all you have to do is just toggle on drawing guide. And I'm going to kind of follow the same small curve down here. I'm going to duplicate that layer and drag this one over. But you want to turn off snapping here, otherwise it'll like move it in funky ways. If you have magnetics selected, you can move it in a straight line. I'm just going to move that, give myself kind of a chunky base. That feels good. Now on the same top layer that's currently selected, I can draw my sides in. And because assisted is on this layer, it's going to maintain those symmetry settings. So I'm just going to give myself like a curved edge. That feels good. And then we're going to wrap it around the back so it feels more continuous. So I'm just going to add in that little line and then just connect it down. Now we need to merge these two layers together. That way we can fill it with the yellow. So I'm just going to pinch these two layers and then I can drag my yellow in. And I want to make sure that these corners are covered as well. And now we've got our snow globe in pretty good shape. I'm going to add a little extra detail to the base. So I'm going to create a brand new layer, change to my brown color, and I'm going to apply symmetry settings again. So tap on the layer thumbnail and choose drawing assist. And I want a multiply blend mode. I want this brown to appear a little bit darker on the yellow. So I'll tap on the little N and change the blend mode to multiply. Next, I'm just going to draw a line in. I can keep my monoline brush selected. I'm going to follow the same curve that this has so I can just kind of trace over it. If you're having a hard time matching it completely, you can start from the center and work your way out. I'm going to drag this one down and then duplicate it and drag the next one down too. Okay, I'm going to merge these two layers together and reduce the opacity down to about 80%. Well, let's go a little further. That felt too intense. Let's go 60%. And then to lock it into the shape right beneath it, I'm just going to tap on the layer thumbnail and choose clipping mask. And now we've got a little extra detail. I am going to add in a shadow at the bottom just to give it a little more separation from the background. So I'm going to come right down to my background color, create a brand new layer right above it, change the blend mode to multiply, and grab your dark blue color. Then I'm going to head back into the airbrush category in my soft brush, and this can look however you want it to look. I'm just going to draw this big blob of a soft brush. And now we need to squish it and make it look like it's sitting kind of behind the snow globe. So I'm going to select it. And then with freeform selected down here in your palette, I'm just going to squish it. So drag the top node down and now we can position it and squeeze in the edges. So this bottom edge, I'm just lining right up to the yellow. I'm going to zoom out a little bit before I deselect. I think that looks pretty good. We can reduce the opacity a little bit on this too if it feels too intense. I'm going to go to like 80%. I'm going to add a vignette around the outside edges just to create a little bit of extra separation and make the viewer's attention focus entirely on the center where the animation is happening. So in order to do that, we're just going to come back to the background color layer, create a brand new layer right above it. I still have that dark blue selected. I'm going to change the blend mode to multiply once more, and I still have my airbrush selected, my soft brush. I'm going to increase the size of that brush, zoom out from my canvas, and just softly paint like a circle around the outside. There we go. And now I'm going to increase the size and that will soften that transition. Oh, we need to switch back to uniform on this. Reduce it a little bit. I want to make sure that you're still seeing it. So I need to reduce the size less than I planned. And now to create more of a transition than what I currently have, I can apply a Gaussian blur. So I'm going to hit the little magic wand up here, choose Gaussian blur, and we can just drag it up. You can see the percentage up here. And I'm just looking for where the dark to the light transitions a lot smoother. And that feels pretty good. I'm going to come to like 60% on this. And if it feels too intense, remember, you can always reduce the opacity, which I'm going to do. I'll bring this down to 75. And you can see, let me get rid of that drawing guideline. Here it is with, and here it is without. So it creates a lot of focus immediately and a little more intensity, which I really like. Okay, I'm going to add in some lettering at the bottom. So I'll come all the way to the very top, create a brand new layer, grab my white color, and I'm going to switch to my watercolor illustration brush set. In this brush set, I'm going to select the medium paint round brush and just add in my lettering at the bottom. You can also use a font or typable text for this. I'll reduce the size of that a little bit, center it up, and I do need to move my snow globe a little higher on my canvas so I can select everything except for the vignette and the background color. I can move it up. Make sure you have magnetic selected so you're getting a straight line when you move it. And I can reduce the size just a little bit. I like getting the size of this right before I start adding in all of my illustrations. So that's why I did the lettering first. I'm going to turn on snapping just to make sure I got this centered. I think that's good, and I can move my lettering up a little bit more. Okay, now let's add in the illustration on the inside. I just have a very, very simple tree plan. So if you're brand new to this, or if you feel insecure about your drawing skills, I do too. And this tree is super, super simple. It's my favorite way of drawing evergreens. So I'm going to come right underneath the snow globe layer. So the layer right underneath it, create a brand new layer. And we're going to grab the lightest green color, and I'm still using that medium paint round brush. So in order to draw this tree, we're just going to draw scribbles. I'm going to do like a little top part, and then I'll do this next section a little larger. They're like little scalloped edges that are ovals. And then I'll do a larger one right here. This is getting to be a very large tree. I need to rotate this a little bit and turn magnetics and snapping off. And I need to squish it a little because it got a little crazy. So I'll go to freeform, deselect, select, and then squish it. Put it in the middle. Next, we're going to add a little bit of detail on top of it to hide any imperfections that you noticed as you drew it. So I'm going to create a brand new layer, grab my dark green color. I'm still using the medium paint round brush. And all I'm doing is where these curls are, I'm going to do little loops. So these are just like little scribbles. And this will draw attention away from any place you didn't want the viewer to notice. Like these ones are kind of pointy down here, and I don't want them to notice that. So if I do these nice curvy loops, it'll offset the pointiness and no one will know. Okay, we got our cute little tree. I need to add a trunk to this, so I'm going to create a brand new layer underneath the main part of the tree. Grab my brown, and paint that in. To darken it up and add more detail, I'll just come over it a few extra times with the brush. And then we need a star on top. So I'll create a brand new layer right above my doodle layer, grab yellow, draw in my star. To increase the opacity on this, all we have to do is duplicate the layer. So drag it to the left and choose duplicate, and then I can pinch these two together. And I'll position it where I want it to go. And I am going to add some like shine lines around it. Makes it feel a little more festive. Okay, and then this part's totally optional. I love adding a little extra sparkle to this, so I'm going to add some glitter to the star. We're going to create a brand new layer, change my color to white, and head into my Shimmer and Shine brush set. This is like sparkle and glitter and foil, and it's really fun for the holidays. So I've got the glitter lettering on light brush selected, and I'm just going to draw right over my star. Just fill it in with glitter, and I'll do the glitter lines too. And obviously it needs to blend a little bit better right here. So I'm going to change the blend mode of this to overlay and reduce the opacity a little bit because that's shining bright. I'll come down to 70%. Okay, I'm going to add a little layer of snow at the base of the tree, and then we'll be all ready for our snow falling animation. So I'll create a brand new layer right above the star. I still have white selected, but I'm going to switch back to my watercolor illustration brush set. I've got the medium paint round brush selected again, and I can just draw in some really simple snowdrifts right here. We are ready for our animation. So in order to create this animation, we need to define a background, a foreground, and then our snow is going to be in the middle. So our foreground will be the globe itself because it's on top of everything. And then the background will be everything else that's behind where the snow is falling. So like our tree and our snow, even our background layer and our lettering can all go on the background. So these are persistent elements. They don't change or animate. They're always a part of the animation, but they're not actually doing anything. They're just there the whole time. So in order to define that, these need to be on flattened layers. They can't be in groups. So unfortunately, it would be really nice if Procreate let us do that, but they don't. Maybe they do. Do they? I think they do. So we need to define those right now. We're going to group our lettering just because it's already on top. It makes it a little easier. And because nothing's behind it, it's fine to be part of the foreground. It could be either one. So I'm going to, as long as it's right here, I'm just going to grab everything down to like the snowdrift right here and group that. And then we'll group everything else, including our background color. Close that up. And now this will be our foreground and this will be our background. And you'll see what that looks like in just a second. So let's tap on the wrench and choose Animation Assist. We'll just toggle this on, and you can see we've got our background frame right here and our foreground frame, but everything looks really funky right now because it doesn't know that these are persistent elements. So I'm going to select this one right here, tap on the layer thumbnail and toggle on background. And then on this one, tap the layer thumbnail and toggle on foreground. Now we've got our foreground and our background elements, and you can see it's telling us and we need something on the in-between, and that's the part that's going to animate, which is our snow. So we need to add layers in between these two groups. So I'm going to create a brand new layer. I still have my white selected. I'm going to grab my medium paint round brush. Now we can add our snow animation on this layer right in between. But before we do that, I just noticed I want to add some little reflections on the globe just to hit home the fact that it's glass and reflective. So luckily we still have our layers accessible. So I need to add this to the foreground layer because this is where my snow globe is. I need to create a layer right above the globe itself. So grab that. I'm still using my medium paint round brush with my white, and all I need to do here is just draw some lines down. And this is a pressure sensitive brush, which you've probably noticed by now. So the harder I push on my brush, the larger it's going to get. So that works really well for these little reflections. So I'm just adding them to the outside. Just super simple, but it helps hit home that, this is a snow globe. Okay, time to add our snow. I can close up this foreground group and head back to that new layer we created. And I've got the medium paint round brush selected. We've got white. We are ready to draw in some snow. So because this brush is pressure sensitive, we don't have to actually draw circles. All we have to do is press on the tip of our stylus and you can get different size snow falling. So definitely saves quite a bit of time. I've got my first layer of snow now. It's right in this layer. And now we need to add another layer of snow, but we want it to look like a continuous snowfall. So we need the same pieces of snow or flakes of snow to continue falling in the same direction in order for it to look believable. So in order to do that, all we have to do is duplicate our snow layer, turn off the visibility of the previous one, and on this new one, we're going to select it. Make sure you have magnetics turned on, but not snapping. And we're just going to drag it down a little bit. And you want to make sure eventually they're going to start peeking out from beneath. So we'll have to erase those when we see those. But up here, we just need to fill in the missing snow now. So we can do the same thing up at the top. And then the sides, because we've got the globe, which is tapering, we need to add a little extra on the sides. But you do not want to add anything extra to the middle. You want to keep that snow consistent as it's falling. So don't add anything to the middle. The sides and the top is totally fine. And now we can do the exact same thing. I'm going to duplicate the layer, turn off the visibility of the one before it. We're going to drag this down and then add more snow. You can see this one's kind of falling outside of the globe now. So just make sure you erase that away. We'll just continue to repeat. So duplicate, turn off that layer's visibility, drag the snow down, and fill in the gaps. I'm going to add one more layer because I'm sure you get the process at this point, but you just want to keep adding these to lengthen your animation. So I'll do 5 total for this tutorial. And you can see that they're starting to come out from underneath. We just want to make sure that those do not show in our animation. So just erase them away and then add the extras in. So I want to show you what this looks like now. And in order to do that, we need to turn on the visibility of our previous snow layers. So just turn those check marks on and you can see all these frames being added at the bottom. And now I'm going to head into settings, make sure loop is selected, and then frames per second is going to be how fast your animation plays. Since I want this to be a soft snowfall effect, I'm going to reduce my frames per second to either 5 or 6. I've found that that works best for me. So I'll just drag this down. I got mine set at 5 and let's preview our animation. I'm going to hit play and you can see that snowfall. And you can play around with your frame rate right here. If you want it to go a little slower, you can see how painfully slow it can be and why we definitely don't want a fast one. It just feels too unnatural, especially for a snow globe. So I'll bring this back down. And there we go. I'm going to hit pause. And in order to export this, you want to come to your wrench, go to share, and then choose either animated GIF. That's what you would use in an email blast or on a website. If you're choosing to post it to social media like Instagram, you'll want to choose animated MP4, but you need to make sure that your animation is at least 3 seconds long in order for it to be accepted and posted there. So in order to lengthen your animation, just add more snow layers and just keep doing that until you've got 3 seconds worth and you'll be all set. Once again, links to everything mentioned in this tutorial, along with my free Procreate for Beginners course, are right in the video description. If you enjoyed this tutorial, please hit the like button, subscribe, and I will see you next time.